Welcome to the latest episode of the Edgar Burroughs mini podcast. These short podcasts are meant to supplement the full-length episodes that I do with Scott Stewart and Jess Terrell, in which we generally talk about one of Edgar Burroughs' books in detail. My name is Tim DeForest. I'm the author of several books about what I call pre-digital pop culture, things like the pulp magazines that Burroughs was published in, old-time radio, classic comic books, old B movies, and so on. And I keep a blog about such things at Comics, Old-Time Radio, and other cool stuff. Right now, we're using the mini podcast to do a chapter-by-chapter summary of the 1912 novel A Princess of Mars. Please note that we will be including spoilers, both regarding the chapter that we're discussing today and for the rest of the book and possibly for other books in the series. I would also recommend that you reread today's chapter before listening to the podcast, as I will be assuming that you are familiar with the events we are discussing. Today we're going to be talking about Chapter 17. In this chapter, we finally meet Tal Hages, who's already been established as a villain and certainly lives up to that designation here. We already know that he had Sola's mom tortured to death. Now he plans to first rape and then torture Deja Thoris to death, giving up the possibility of a huge ransom just for the sadistic pleasure of doing this. Considering that Deja is another species, this is particularly perverse. It's important that, despite his righteous anger, John Carter decides not to kill Tal Hages himself, leaving the opportunity for Tars Tarkas to eventually take vengeance on him. At this point, John and Tars are still technically enemies, but we see another indication of the mutual respect that will eventually make them best friends who would give their lives for each other. It's interesting to note that there's not a single overarching villain in the novel. Tal Hages is the closest we have to a major villain at this moment, but in a few chapters, we'll meet the red Martian Sab Than, who will rope Deja Thoris into agreeing to marry him. One way to think about this is that Tal Hages is Tars Tarkas' arch nemesis, and Sab Than will become John Carter's arch nemesis. The two heroes parallel each other in this manner, just as they do in their courage and mutual respect. So John Carter still manages to escape along with the two ladies, without the food and drink they had been planning on taking. But that hard trip across the wilderness contains two more reminders of John Carter's admirable qualities. Woola tracks him down and rejoins him, showing a concrete benefit to John's compassion towards the beast. That compassion is shown again when one of the thoats collapses and John Carter is concerned that it doesn't suffer, deciding not to put it out of its misery only when assured that it can survive if allowed to rest. But that means they're down to one thoat, which sets up the chapter's final action scene. When John Carter spots the Green Martians pursuing them, he assumes they are Tharks. We'll find out in the next chapter that they are Warhoons, the enemy of the Tharks, but that doesn't affect the current situation. Realizing they can't outrun the enemy, John Carter sends Deja and Sola away on the remaining thoat while he plans a last stand. Now, it's touchingly obvious that Deja doesn't believe John for a moment when he says he can escape on his own. This leads to her declaration of love and her determination to die with him. That leads to the wonderful scene of Sola holding Deja down as she rides away with her on the thoat. John Carter's last stand scene is short, but it's an exciting action sequence, divided between his sniper fire and then his effort to use his jumping ability to get away. And despite his conviction that he didn't stand a chance, it really looks like he might have gotten away if he hadn't tripped. His capture by the Warhoons brings the chapter to an end with another effective cliffhanger. That's it for now. Once again, my name is Tim DeForest. Please visit my blog at Comics, Old-Time Radio, and other cool stuff. You'll also be able to find links to my Amazon.com author page there. Thank you for listening. We'll be back with another mini podcast soon. And keep an ear out also for our full-length episodes.